Imagine walking into your local supermarket and heading straight for the meat aisle. Among the trays of neatly packaged beef, pork, and turkey, one option almost always stands out for its price tag: chicken. Pound for pound, it's the cheapest protein in the cooler, often costing less than half the price of beef and even undercutting turkey. But here's the question that sparks curiosity for so many shoppers. How is it possible that a living bird, raised for weeks, fed, cared for, transported, and processed through massive plants, can end up neatly wrapped in plastic for just a few dollars? The answer isn't a secret, but it is a story of staggering speed, mind-bending scale, and industrial efficiency that transformed chicken from a rare delicacy into America's most accessible meat. What happens behind those closed doors of farms and processing plants explains why chicken is everywhere, and why it's surprisingly affordable for nearly every household in the country. It wasn't always like this. For centuries, chicken was considered a luxury meat in America, a treat reserved for special occasions or Sunday dinners. Before refrigeration, selective breeding, and high-tech farming methods, chickens grew slowly, stayed small, and were costly to raise. That meant they were far from the budget-friendly staple we take for granted today. The turning point came after World War II, when the U.S. government and the poultry industry launched something called the Chicken of Tomorrow contest in 1948. Breeders competed to develop bigger, faster-growing birds with more breast meat, and the results permanently reshaped the chicken we know today. By the 1950s, the new broiler chicken was a triumph of selective breeding. Production exploded, and the bird that once sat in the luxury category suddenly became the cheapest, most abundant meat on the American dinner table. Fast forward to today, and chicken is more than just food. It's a cultural staple, a fast food juggernaut, and an export powerhouse. Whether it's fried chicken sandwiches, wings during a football game, or chicken nuggets devoured by kids everywhere, poultry powers American diets like no other protein. But what really makes it possible is the staggering industrial system working behind the scenes, a system designed to maximize efficiency while keeping prices low. That journey begins in enormous grow-out houses, each capable of housing tens of thousands of birds at once. These barns are equipped with computerized climate control systems that regulate temperature, humidity, and even lighting cycles. It's not about comfort in the human sense, it's about creating the perfect growth environment. Too hot, too cold, or too stressful, and the birds won't put on weight as quickly. Within just 6 to 8 weeks, a modern broiler reaches market weight, tipping the scales at around 5 to 6 pounds. To put that in perspective, chickens a century ago would take months longer to reach just a fraction of that size. When the time comes, trucks fitted with ventilation fans and slatted floors arrive to transport the birds. The logistics are precise because timing matters. Within hours, those chickens will go from clucking and flapping in barns to neatly packaged meat ready for distribution across the country. Inside the processing plants, the pace is breathtaking. Humane stunning systems, using either electrical water baths or controlled atmosphere chambers filled with carbon dioxide, render the birds unconscious in seconds. Then automated blades perform the throat cut, a step as old as meat production itself but now done with the speed and precision of modern engineering. From there, the transformation happens at lightning speed. Carcasses are dipped in scalding tanks to loosen feathers, then fed into plucking machines outfitted with rows of rubber fingers that rotate rapidly, stripping birds clean in seconds. Thousands of chickens can be defeathered per hour, an efficiency that would have been unimaginable in the days of backyard farms. The carcasses are washed, disinfected, and inspected under the watchful eyes of USDA inspectors. Any bird that doesn't meet safety and quality standards is pulled from the line immediately, ensuring only approved poultry continues down the chain. At this point, the animal no longer resembles a bird. What was alive just hours ago is now a clean carcass moving toward the cutting lines. Here, the process becomes almost surgical. Circular saws, robotic arms, and skilled workers break the birds down into the parts Americans know and love: breasts, wings, thighs, and drumsticks. Each cut is weighed and sorted by high-tech scanners that maximize yield while meeting consumer demand. The breast meat, the most valuable part, often heads for nuggets, fast food sandwiches, and grocery store packs. Wings, once considered throwaway cuts, are now in high demand thanks to sports bars and game nights. Thighs and drumsticks, with their richer flavor and juicier texture, fill bulk family packs and export markets. Even parts that don't land on American dinner plates have a purpose. Byproducts are turned into pet food, industrial ingredients, or shipped overseas where they're considered delicacies. In short, no part of the chicken goes to waste. The challenge with fresh chicken, however, is its perishability. To prevent bacterial growth, carcasses and cuts are immediately chilled. Depending on the plant, This can be done with icy water baths or air chilling systems that blast cold air over the meat. The goal is to get the temperature down fast and keep it there. By this point, the chicken looks very much like the neat, uniform pieces shoppers pick up in supermarkets. But before it hits the shelves, one final stage awaits: packaging. The packaging lines are marvels of modern automation. Vacuum sealers, stretch wrap machines, and label printers work in synchronized chaos, sealing each tray of chicken with plastic films that lock out oxygen and moisture. Some packs even use a modified atmosphere, replacing regular air with nitrogen or carbon dioxide to extend shelf life by slowing spoilage. Labels stamped with dates, plant codes, and barcodes ensure that every tray is traceable from farm to store. Once packed, cartons of chicken are loaded onto refrigerated trucks kept at just above freezing. These trucks are the lifeblood of the cold chain, a system that moves meat from processing plants to distribution centers and then to supermarket coolers, often within just 24 to 48 hours. By the time you pick up a tray for dinner, the chicken has completed a complex journey across one of the most efficient food supply chains in the world. It's incredible to think that what appears to be a simple, inexpensive dinner option is actually the result of decades of science, engineering, and logistics perfected to operate at massive scale. And the story doesn't end with chicken. Just down the aisle, another protein waits: pork. Americans consume more than 27 billion pounds of pork every year, according to USDA data. Bacon, ribs, pork chops, pulled pork, it's all part of the nation's love affair with swine. But that wasn't always the case. For centuries, pork had a darker reputation. Undercooked or poorly handled pork could spread parasites like Trichinella, and families were often warned about the dangers of eating it. In the 1800s, Midwest cities like Cincinnati became known as Porkopolis, processing millions of hogs each year, but pork was still a risky food before refrigeration and inspection systems were in place. Science and regulation changed everything. Improved feeding practices, controlled housing, and strict federal inspection rules virtually eliminated Trichinella in the U.S. By the mid-20th century, pork's image transformed. What was once feared became celebrated. Today, bacon headlines breakfast plates, ribs fuel backyard cookouts, and pulled pork anchors Southern barbecue traditions. Pork is no longer a question mark. It's a centerpiece of American cuisine. Modern hog farming is as industrial as poultry. Thousands of pigs are raised in climate-controlled barns where automated feeders deliver grain-based diets and ventilation systems keep the air clean. By 5 to 6 months of age, pigs reach their ideal market weight of around 270 pounds. When ready, they're loaded onto transport trailers designed with airflow systems and slatted floors to reduce stress. Within hours, they arrive at processing plants where scale, machinery, and precision take over. Inside the plants, pigs enter controlled atmosphere chambers filled with carbon dioxide to render them unconscious, a method considered both humane and efficient. Workers and machines then perform the bleed-out, a step necessary to ensure meat quality. From there, the carcasses are scalded in hot water tanks to loosen hair and skin, then fed into dehairing machines outfitted with whirling paddles that scrape them clean in seconds. To finish the job, the skin is singed with flame or steam to remove any bristles before being thoroughly washed. Massive band saws then slice the hogs into halves, which move down rails into cutting lines. Skilled butchers and advanced tools separate the primal cuts, shoulders, loins, bellies, and hams, before breaking them down further into the pork chops, bacon strips, and roast that Americans know so well. What was once a 270-pound animal is now dozens of neatly wrapped packages ready for the grill, smoker, or skillet. And just like chicken, pork's journey from farm to table is a story of incredible speed and scale, hidden in plain sight every time you stroll past the meat aisle. Imagine walking into your local grocery store, pushing your cart down the aisle, and grabbing a neatly wrapped pack of bacon, a rack of ribs ready for the grill, or a frozen turkey for Thanksgiving. For most of us, that moment is simple and ordinary. But behind every package of meat on those shelves lies a massive, highly coordinated system of farming, technology, and logistics that turns living animals into food that fuels America's tables. Today we're pulling back the curtain on that world. From the moment a hog is broken down into bacon and ribs, to the journey a turkey takes before it lands on millions of holiday plates, this is the fascinating story of how everyday meats are transformed on an industrial scale. When a pig enters the processing plant, it's no longer just one animal. It's the raw material for dozens of different products that will find their way into homes, restaurants, and even pet food bowls. Specialized machines trim fat with precision, remove bones with surgical efficiency, and portion meat depending on its destination. Bellies are destined to become bacon strips, Ribs are cut and prepared for barbecue lovers, while hams make their way toward smoking chambers that give them their signature flavor. Nothing goes to waste. Even bones, fat, and skin are rendered down into lard, gelatin, or byproducts that are turned into pet food or industrial ingredients. It's a reminder that in this process, efficiency is king. If you had to choose only one, would you go for smoky bacon or tender ribs? That single carcass is transformed into dozens of products that not only serve local communities but also feed the global export market. Once butchering is complete, the next critical step is chilling. Fresh pork is highly perishable, and without immediate cooling, spoilage sets in fast. That's why halves are rolled into giant chilling rooms that sit just above freezing, where powerful fans circulate cold air around the meat. Within 24 hours, the internal temperature drops to around 0 to 2 degrees Celsius, locking in freshness. The process doesn't rely on guesswork. High-tech scanners measure fat-to-lean ratios, ensuring cuts meet quality standards, while inspectors check every carcass for signs of contamination. Would you feel safer knowing that every cut of pork is checked by both human inspectors and machines, or do you still wonder if something might slip through? It's a question that lingers for many consumers. Once cooled, portions head toward packaging lines where speed and precision define the workflow. Vacuum sealing is the most common method, sucking out air to lock in freshness and prevent leaks. Bulk packs are prepared for restaurants, while family-sized portions are designed for grocery store shelves. Every package carries a label showing weight, price, and a use-by date, but it also contains traceability codes that allow regulators and processors to track exactly which plant and batch the meat came from. Some products even use modified atmosphere packaging, where carbon dioxide and nitrogen replace oxygen inside the pack. This small tweak dramatically extends shelf life, helping ensure pork remains safe and appealing even after long distribution journeys. From there, boxes are stacked onto refrigerated trucks held at strict temperatures between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius. The logistics chain is staggering in scale, serving supermarkets, local butchers, and international buyers all at once. By the time pork lands on a backyard grill in the U.S., it has already taken a long and carefully monitored journey from farm to fork. What was once viewed with suspicion in earlier centuries is now a staple centerpiece of American family dinners and summer barbecues. As the smoke of a barbecue clears, another bird rises to dominate American tradition, the turkey. Every November, the United States consumes more than 45 million turkeys for Thanksgiving alone. Throughout the year, that number climbs to over 200 million birds in total. The turkey is more than just poultry, it's a national symbol of the holiday table. But how did this once wild bird become such a cultural icon? And how do factories manage to process tens of millions of them in such a short time without ever running out? The story begins centuries ago, when indigenous peoples in Mexico and the American Southwest first domesticated wild turkeys. These birds were valued for their size, taste, and ability to feed large gatherings. Spanish explorers carried them back across the Atlantic in the 1500s, introducing them to Europe, where they quickly spread. By colonial times, turkeys were already popular in America, appreciated for their abundance and flavor. By the 19th century, the turkey had become firmly tied to Thanksgiving, a holiday that was itself gaining ground as a uniquely American tradition. With the rise of industrial farming, refrigeration, and processing plants in the 20th century, turkeys shifted from seasonal delicacies to year-round commodities, available as frozen whole birds, turkey bacon, ground meat, and endless varieties of deli slices. Today, the bird is both heritage and business, an icon of American holidays and a cornerstone of the poultry industry. Modern turkey farming is a science in itself. Large climate-controlled barns house thousands of birds, where temperature, lighting, and air circulation are carefully calibrated to encourage growth while reducing disease risk. Turkeys are bigger than chickens and require more space and time to reach market size. By the time they are 14 to 16 weeks old, hens weigh between 15 and 20 pounds, while toms can exceed 30 pounds. Their diets are rich in protein grains, fortified with vitamins and minerals to support rapid growth. This carefully designed environment creates a steady supply of uniform, healthy birds ready for market. But when the time comes, the process shifts gears quickly. Transport crews load live turkeys into ventilated crates and move them by truck to processing plants within hours, ensuring stress and spoilage are minimized. Inside the plant, the process is swift, automated, and highly regulated. Birds are rendered unconscious using controlled atmosphere systems before mechanical blades make the kill. From there, carcasses are dipped into scalding tanks, loosening feathers that are plucked clean by giant machines fitted with spinning rubber fingers. Within seconds, the once feathered bird is stripped bare. To remove any remaining particles, carcasses are singed with steam or open flame before being washed and disinfected. In just minutes, a live turkey has become a cleaned carcass ready for chilling and further processing. Like pork, turkey spoils quickly if not cooled, so plants rely on cold water immersion or air chilling tunnels to bring the temperature down to between 0 and 2 degrees Celsius almost immediately. Do you trust the efficiency of industrial turkey farming for your holiday table, or do you long for the days when families raised and harvested their own birds on small farms? It's a debate that resurfaces every Thanksgiving. Once processed, turkeys are handled in two main forms: whole birds and processed cuts. Whole frozen turkeys are the stars of Thanksgiving ovens across America, while sliced deli meats and ground turkey are packaged in modified atmosphere packs to preserve freshness and extend shelf life. Every package carries nutrition facts, weight and traceability codes, ensuring consumers know what they're buying and regulators can track supply chains if issues arise. Distribution is a logistical ballet. Refrigerated trucks crisscross the country year-round, but the system ramps up dramatically in the fall. Warehouses begin stockpiling frozen birds months in advance to meet the massive holiday surge. By the time a turkey lands in your oven on Thanksgiving morning, it has already passed through an industrial web of farms, processors, warehouses, and trucks, connecting American tradition with cutting-edge technology. Chicken, pork, and turkey may seem like ordinary staples when sitting on a supermarket shelf, but behind them lies a story of scale, science, and industry. These meats are more than just flavors on our plates. Chicken fuels fast food chains and family dinners, pork powers backyard barbecues, and turkey crowns Thanksgiving celebrations across the nation. Each represents not just food but also American identity and cultural tradition. That pack of chicken breasts, slab of ribs, or golden holiday turkey sitting in your cart is anything but simple. It represents weeks of farming, hours of high-tech processing, and multiple layers of inspection that most consumers never see. And yet, beyond the machinery and logistics, these foods carry meaning. They unite families, bring communities together, and symbolize traditions that define American life. Every meal we take for granted has a hidden journey, one that begins in the fields and barns of rural America, travels through massive industrial plants, and ends up sizzling on our stoves and grills. So the next time you sit down to enjoy smoky ribs, tender turkey, or a juicy chicken sandwich, remember, what looks like just another meal is actually the product of one of the most advanced and finely tuned food systems in the world. Want to discover more stories hidden behind the food on your plate? Stick with us, we've got plenty more journeys to uncover.